6:02 on January 31st, calling the meeting, the special meeting of the Dexter Township Board to order. Thank you, everybody. I think we'll just pass on the Pledge of Allegiance. Roll call. Lonnie?
Here.
Karen Nolte? Here. Laura Sanders?
Here.
Mayor Smith?
Here.
Michelle Stambolelli?
Present.
Karen Zakanga?
Yes.
And myself, Supervisor, present. I have no remarks for tonight. Anyone have a conflict of interest with anything that we're talking about this evening?
Nope.
Okay. First call for public comment. Anything to say tonight? Thank you. Having no one coming to the podium, we're going to we'll have the approval of the agenda, which is the old business to update of election expenditures. And, so, would anybody like to make a motion to approve the agenda?
I don't have an agenda.
I have a question about the agenda.
Yes.
Which is basically.
Well, can we make a motion and
Oh,
then,
sure.
let's make a motion in a second and then we'll talk about it.
Motion.
Oh, okay, go ahead, Karen.
I made a motion to
Two,
approve the agenda.
with chocolate in your mouth.
31,
Second.
Karen used, I didn't hear it. Just to make the motion to approve the agenda on 1/31/23 as written. Okay.
So my question
And we have a
is,
second
Yes.
discussion. Okay.
remember at the last meeting, Alex was going to look into whether there was a time constraint on our approval of the SAD. And if so, we were going to turn this into not a working session, but into a session where we could make a decision.
What is the SAD?
Special Assessment District.
Okay, that's right.
This, yeah.
I thought, oh,
And so I just wondered if anyone closed the loop on that and confirmed with Alex that there was no hurry on that?
oh, yeah, there is no hurry on it. So it will be on our February meeting. Sorry. We did say we would. Good update. Thank you, Karen.
And I don't have an agenda, is that okay?
It's really
It's really
there's not a
now,
whole
we're just
lot on
going to,
there,
it's just
Laura.
election
Okay.
and then general ledger. I mean, new
Here, do you
budget.
want mine, Laura? Do you want?
No, I don't need it, as long as it's, okay, it's not controversial.
You keep track of it, I don't lose it. Okay. All in favor of approving the agenda as written?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. Next item is update on election expenses. Michelle and Karen were going to work together, and
We started, we didn't finish. Not much to tell you. Except we're getting the spreadsheets to balance. But we still have to, we started breaking down the numbers today because we met all of 3 days ago, so it didn't get done. But should be able to knock it out tomorrow, and then we'll just send you the update for the election.
So pretty much, I just will, going forward, put everything in its proper bucket.
Yeah, we have to move some stuff. Still
Yeah.
don't know if it's going to balance out.
So I added to the end of the to-do list, well, maybe it's not at the end anymore because I sorted it, but some process suggestions, some sort of ongoing business process suggestions, and now they're kind of all buried in here, but it's basically, when you pay an invoice, compare it to the budget to make sure that it's an approved expense, and then find out from the person that initiated the invoice, confirm that the good or service was actually received before you actually pay the invoice, as just a kind of routine process. And then I also added, if it's a justified expense that's beyond the budget, then come back to the board and seek budgetary authority. And it would be great, and then the budget ledger has to be updated to reflect the amended budget. And then if every quarter we could get this report, but with the original budget and then the amended budget, we could, so it's the same report, but it has an original budget column and then amended budget, then we could see that the budget amendments were made in the system, so we know we approved them at a board meeting, but that would allow us to see that they actually got put into the system, and I'm not sure if that's, if going into the system and changing and amending the budget is a supervisor function or a clerk function. A clerk function. Yeah.
And will the reports allow us to do regular budget and then amended budget?
I mean, most public sector reporting systems allow you to report on the original budget, the amended budget, and then the year-to-date actuals. But I haven't looked at the report library for this, for us, but I think it's in there somewhere.
I could find out about that.
So every quarter or something, I mean, typically, like every quarter or so, you include a report that shows the original budget and amended budget.
Okay, so I think we've closed on updates on election expenditures, right? Is there anything else?
Do you guys want us to send you the totals when we're done with it, if we finish it tomorrow? Do you want to shoot an email, or do you want to wait for the next meeting? Your choice.
I'd prefer to send them so everyone knows the outcome.
Sounds good.
And this is the to-do list.
Yeah, from the other meeting.
There's
But
a
there
few
may-
things that I did do,
But there may be stuff missing from this,
but we're going to go through it.
I mean, if,
Might not be a bad idea.
okay.
Yeah, we can go
Well, do
through
we
it.
have any questions on it? I mean, it's kind of like,
That's what we,
I guess I would prefer to move forward. We know we've identified all this, we know it's not all done, and when it's done, we're going to have a cleaner.
Yeah, and Michelle, in the spreadsheet, there's a date completed or something column, so I could forward the spreadsheet to you, and then
We can just,
as these get completed, I only sent it to Diane and Karen, just for initial feedback, but if I left anything off or anything, I'm welcome any additions to it, but I can send it to the whole group, and then you'll have access to the Excel document, and you can update it. You guys could put it on your shared drive and then keep it up to date.
I think that would be fantastic, since I'm going to do a whole lot of it, so I could just stay.
can I ask a question? Are we using a shared document file here?
Oh, I don't know if we can.
Well, do you have OneDrive or something? I mean, where do you
All
put?
of us? Like,
I don't
Where do you
think that-
put your
They're not
documents?
using Google Docs or anything, they're using their private computers.
Oh, you don't have we have OneDrive. I know we have
Yeah,
it
we do
because
have
that's
it.
our.
That's what we
and-
got.
And so you should be putting all your files on a shared, you shouldn't be working off your own personal files. They should all be in a common filing space on OneDrive. And that,
well,
Like a
there's a
central-
couple drives, but we can all access each other's.
But there should be a lot of reports that we could all go in and update one. So if you get this report, and Michelle goes and updates her timelines that she's finished, you go in and update your timelines, we're gonna have different reports. If this report is out there in a general purpose, everybody can go update it, and it's a master copy. And everybody works off one master copy.
like a Google Doc?
no, well, we can come in and talk.
Add this,
But you
the
should-
next action step, let's set up.
Shared filing system, because you also shouldn't be doing your work files on, everything should be in a shared drive, so that any work-related files shouldn't be on your personal computers. They should be in a shared location, so that if you win the lottery, let's say something positive happens and you don't come back,
Yeah.
then all that work product is owned by the institution, not by you personally, and it shouldn't go away if you unexpectedly disappear. So everything should be in a shared
Are you
drive.
doing action steps today?
Yes, I'll do
You
actions.
can assign yourself that one, I think.
Set up a shared drive.
I would never know.
So then all 7 of us would have access to this.
That would be great. I mean, I've got a whole lot of documents that I would love to put onto the shared drive that relate to,
Roads.
roads.
Ah.
So if
Yeah.
I don't come back tomorrow, because I win the lottery, not because I get hit by a bus, then how are you guys going to remember the schedule, the spreadsheet that I put together and all that stuff? You should be able to go into the roads file and see all that stuff.
So will you teach us how to access it and use it? Because that kind of stuff, when something new appears, like even Google Docs, I have to be like trained in a way as to how to access it and use it.
I'm asking myself, I don't even know if I know how to, I don't know.
How do you know how to set it up?
I mean, you have it, we have it.
Yeah, I think we
accept
have it through the new
exists.
email system that we
Yeah,
did
yeah.
receive.
I'm
but,
terrible at that
I'm
stuff.
sure that,
New-
I'm
new-
quite sure Abby will be
I was
able
gonna
to
say
guide
Abby.
us
Okay.
Abby's
and
sharp
show
as
us
a
how
whip, she'll
to.
go through it.
I'm going to call this operations, and I'm going to sign it to Abby.
Yeah, I think that's,
And
She's not here.
And I can put myself on as an assist.
I think just as a note, when we're talking to Abby about it, and to Maris's point, this should be completed work projects, or I'm sorry, work product. So I think the question that Maris had is a good one. We should not have a document where we are all commenting or offering suggestions that are not in public view. So we have to be very careful that the documents that are uploaded there are completed work product, not a work in progress, would be my only concern, to make sure that we stay on the right side of the the Open Meetings Act.
Yeah, that makes sense.
that makes sense.
So it may be that it might make most sense too, then, that as we complete them, as opposed to all of us having direct access, that the process is that they go to Abby, and Abby put them in the location.
But maybe these three should have access to the shared,
Correct.
to the shared drive, and so you have access to each other's,
We
you know.
do, we
As a-
do, we have access to each other's and to date, I mean, to all the.
Oh, I didn't understand that. I thought you were saying, I thought you were
On our
saying,
computers, we can get into any drive, into any
I
files.
didn't think you
Oh,
could.
then I don't.
I thought you were saying that,
Oh, yeah.
I thought, I misunderstood.
Just erase everything we
Yeah,
just talked about.
yeah. I thought you were saying that you worked on.
kind of
Oh, no, I thought you meant
can
all
access
everybody, that's what I
No.
was confused about.
Well, you can share files with us, you know, and,
Okay.
you know. But, so maybe we should, instead, the to-do item should be that all of us send over our work product to Abby, so
Abby,
she
and
can
then
put
she
it on the
can
shared
Road,
file.
Yeah, like to make the different categories, exactly.
And then give us access to those files.
Yeah, I mean, a process for that would be worthwhile anyways, just for FOIA purposes, or,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
so that
Yep.
Abby has access.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know how you get access, well, because you can get access to the computers out at home, right, David?
Yeah, you can promote it to, you
Yeah.
just need to be given permission to access it with drives.
Right, okay. Yeah, so we could do that for the trustees as well.
Yeah.
Yep, okay. I mean, I don't have it set up at home, so I don't know how
I
to
don't either.
do that.
So we can assign it to Abby, and then Abby can like email all of us and say, send me your files, or
Yeah.
whatever. Yeah.
That'd be great. Okay, so we're on to the, just to be clear, we're on to new business, continued discussion of the budget. Got a little off track here, so, but that's okay. Do you?
Do you want me to?
Yeah.
Oh,
Maris.
okay.
So,
I just want to give a little update. So we kind of discovered before our last meeting that, well, Karen had asked, why do we not have current property taxes listed? And so then I went ahead and I looked into that, and I realized 5 minutes before the meeting that it was going into a different GL number than what is showing up on the revenue and expenditure report. So at least at that point, I could tell you guys that this is what was happening, but I didn't know why. So I decided, me, Matt, and then I kind of recruited Abby on Monday to kind of look into this and see what we could find. I had Abby pull up, so when I looked at it, I'm like, okay, Colleen had set up these numbers in our cash receipting program. I think that she did this with the intention that she was going to be doing the new chart of accounts. So I think she had already started that process of changing these numbers over, and it would have only made sense if we were setting up this new program and the new chart of accounts was going to be updated, that she would just start that process, which I had a hunch that that's what was happening. So I asked Abby to go ahead and pull up the new chart of accounts that we'll be transferring over to here shortly-ish, I hope. And so when I looked at it, it made a lot more sense that that's probably what she was doing. So anywho, now I talked to Karen earlier today, and she suggested that I call Kim Haynes. And me, Diane, Michelle, and I believe Abby had met with her, gosh, I don't even know now, a month and a half ago. And she works with Sylvan Township, and, you know, she's an accountant and does quite a bit of work with them. And I really liked her. I think we all really liked her. She could do some really decent work. So I called to find out if, you know, kind of explain, you know, from my understanding of how this all happened and how do we move forward, because is it going to be as easy as just printing out a new report while including this new number? Or do we take this money that sits now in the new number and move it back to the old number? Do you see what I'm saying? Are you guys following me? I'm sorry, this is kind of hard to explain. So
Well,
then we
the
can have
budget
an
is-
accurate
yeah.
but revenue and expenditure report, or at least something to look at so we can do this budget, because, and at this point, I know my taxes, right? So I was able to look on my tax stuff, but I'm just wondering now at this point, are there other numbers that she had changed? And is there money going there, you know? So when I talked to Kim today, she was like, asked about a trial balance report. And so I was like, well, I've never ran one of those before, but I gave a crack at it just a little while ago, and I was able to run 2 different trial and balance reports. And I do notice that it is hitting on, I highlighted at least one of them, if you want to pass that down. I know Karen said that she was familiar with it. And then this is a different one. But the highlighted is where you'll see where that is indeed hitting. But I also looked, and I'm not sure because I don't know the lingo of this, but it says that those numbers are unclassified. So when I was asking Kim today on the phone, I believe she was saying, and it's hard for me to explain this because I don't totally get, you know, this side of this department. But it's perhaps that number has been created, the money is hitting there in the GL, but there wasn't a liability account assigned to it. Does that make sense, Karen?
I mean, it's more technical than
Okay.
I'm not at
above
that
our pay
level.
grade.
Yeah.
Above mine
That's
too.
what I told you.
I'm not.
My pay grade.
This is
I
why
mean,
I'm
I
not
can
the
ask,
clerk.
Maris, do you want me to call Emma and see if she can come over here and explain this to us?
Yeah, I mean, that would be awesome. But I mean, and like I said, I'm just like kind of, you know, rolling the dice here and trying to figure some of this stuff out as best I can so we can move
I didn't bring
forward
my phone.
with, you know, the general ledger and like kind of cleaning it up at this point and understanding what is happening here, because we had,
You know what I'm going to do, instead of having her come now, because I realize she doesn't have a car, so Rich is
Oh.
at rehearsal. Why don't I just have her come to the next meeting?
Yeah.
And I'm going to be at the next meeting, so I'm not going to not be at the next meeting.
and also, I mean, I want Michelle to also, I mean, I talked to her earlier too, to kind of tell her what was going on, you know, and like what I had found in who I talked to, and, you know, how are we all gonna, you know, we need to talk about how we're gonna proceed forward with this.
Or maybe we can just come over one day this week, you know, and just look at this report
I
together.
missed that.
Who are you?
Her daughter.
Oh, your daughter.
She's understands this stuff better than I do.
But, yeah, so, I mean, I think that's what the issue was, and now I'm kind of like, I'm going back in time, and it's starting to make more sense to me, and of why this kind of has all transpired the way it has, because we had a firm come in, they had a contract with us to do work, they got most of
Part
the
of the
work
way
done,
through.
and the pertinent work with, you know, switching over the chart of accounts and stuff, that never happened, that kind of fell off, she departed. And then there was like all of this time where we're using these things, nobody knows about this, there was no communication, and then it's all just kind of fallen flat for a while. And then now we have this new accountant that has come in to help, and then it's like, she's asking questions, things don't make sense to her, you know, it's just kind of, there's a lot of layers that are going on here, and it's now like kind of discovering.
Forensic.
Yes, it is. I feel like I've been doing forensic
Yeah.
work.
Yeah.
And it's
Exactly what
been-
it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, so this is where I've gotten with this, but I think that this is another piece of our puzzle. And
Okay,
I
well, let me
don't
take
think-
this home, and I'll
Yeah,
ask her
please.
tonight,
And
and
I
then-
don't even know if, like, you know, the settings are right on that report or what. I mean, it's just, it at least was able to show me that these do indeed exist. Now, do they need to be assigned to something else to hit the right line? That, like I said, that's not, I don't know how to do any of that. That's not my thing.
Yeah.
But,
Yeah. Good, you're making progress.
So Heather is not assistance with us?
It's a journey
What's
of
that?
Heather isn't any assistance with us?
with what?
the trial balance report.
No, I did all this stuff.
Oh, no, with putting it in the proper line item.
No, she can. I just think,
Okay.
see, because here's the thing, we hired her to do the expenditure side of it and also to do the chart of accounts, where she wasn't even looking into the revenues because she had no idea
Sure.
that we had Colleen come in and change numbers. I just discovered this on Monday, that that's actually what was happening. So we haven't contracted her to look at the revenues and to do that work. So my thought is, and here's the thing, I feel like I could do this work. I feel confident, Matt and I talked about it. I feel confident that I could do this and fix this stuff, but I can't because, you know, I think it's a conflict of interest of departments because this is your baby, you know what
Sure.
I mean? The general ledger is your stuff. So now I'm just trying to help find a cost-effective way of fixing this that's not gonna, because I know Manor and however you say their last names, I mean, it's costing us quite a bit of money already. So, I mean, if you feel comfortable doing this stuff, you know, then by all means, you know what I mean? You could certainly do that. But if you feel like you would need some assistance with that, like I said, Kim is amazing.
I think that would be fantastic.
Yeah.
I mean, the
Actually work
interesting,
with her and
Yeah.
actually learn the procedure versus have someone
Well,
do it, and
And she is, I asked her, because it's tax season, she does tax preps and stuff like that as well. And I asked her what her availability is, because, you know, she does work with Multi-Lake, she works with Sylvan, and she's out here, I think, every other Thursday, but she said that she would be available to us this Monday. But I also told her, I'm like, obviously, this is a board decision, and I was going to bring this stuff to the board tonight so we could discuss it. And I'm like, I told her I'd get back with her. I said, please keep a placeholder for us on Monday at 11:30.
sure.
But if the board, you know, agrees, then I'll give her a call tomorrow and let her know if we can proceed or not. Or if the board doesn't agree, then I'll let her know that not, obviously. But I think, you know, just to have her come in, it's not going to be like a whole day event, I doubt. She just wanted to run a trial balance report, kind of take a look at everything that's going on as far as what I explained to her today, so she can kind of get a good idea how we can fix it. Because it could be very easy to fix. It could just be, you know, her helping you set different settings on the revenue and expenditure report, and then it populates that, and then we're good to go. Or it could mean, like I said, she'll help you make some entries to move this money back to the old numbers, and then we update the chart of accounts, and then we all move it, and then it moves back. You know what I mean? So kind of like going backwards to move forward temporarily, if that makes sense. So,
Absolutely.
okay.
Sounds like we're close to a final resolution,
I think so.
which is good.
Well, I think we've uncovered more and more pieces of
Yeah.
what we didn't know, and
Yeah.
I'll make the motion that we jump on Kim for Monday and get her out here and just dive into it a little bit. She's a smart cookie.
Here's the issue, though, that I didn't, and that I just thought about. Sorry, Diane.
Go.
did
No, I
didn't
was
mean
going to
cut
just
you
say
off.
too, that we still, so, I mean, I feel like we're not getting an answer from, I mean, that we can't figure out how to do the next year's budget because we don't have this budget. I don't even know how we would close it out. But we do have Heather in the middle of doing having the new chart of accounts, and I don't want it to have, I mean, I think we have to be really clear on, it sounds like Kim has, to me, a better handle on what we're struggling with right now, because when I did talk to Heather, she said she just looked at the expenditures and she didn't look at the revenue, and I didn't really get a clear answer, but Mary's got-
Well, I will say that right now, I believe that Heather is working on cleaning up our current chart of accounts, because, you know, we have a lot of accounts that are inactive, ones that we haven't used, so I think that that's kind of what she was working towards. We had a meeting with her last Monday, I believe, me and Michelle, And she was just kind of asking us different questions about different funds and whatnot. And so I think that right now, her primary focus is to clean up our current general ledger. And when I mean clean up, not like any mistakes or anything, but as far as like deleting inactive accounts, right? Because you can't delete anything that has had activity for a year. So she's going through all of that, seeing what we need, what we don't need, and then she can engage BSNA to go ahead and move on with a new chart of accounts. So that needs to happen first. But I feel like we should keep her doing that, what she's
Okay.
doing. I think that's important.
Is she actually coming in and?
No.
Or is she creating a list of this was what needs? Because if Heather's just creating a list, we can easily say, Kim, here's Heather's list.
Yeah.
Can you make all these changes?
Yeah, I mean, we
You know
can,
what I
we can
mean?
ask
Have her
Heather. I
just
think,
roll.
well, we really haven't, I mean, Heather has, it's been a while. I don't even remember when the last time she was here, but.
Yeah.
And she's been having issues remoting in with IT Right, and Abby's been handling all of that. So she's been able to do that, I think, as of today. I don't know if we heard back from her, but, so yeah, she's able to remote in and do that work at home. But we also need, yeah, I don't know. I think moving,
I kind of think that's for Heather and Abby, for Heather and Kim to say.
to talk about?
Yes.
Yeah, I
and
think so
explain to
too.
Kim, hey, look, we've got Heather over here doing this. Are we on the right page?
Well, and I think that's
You
why
know what
Kim
I
is coming in on Monday. It's not like, hey, we have a job for you. She's going to look and see, because
Yeah.
I told her
She's
about.
in the trenches.
Yeah.
She's in
And
the
also,
trenches of
she just walked Sylvan through, I believe she said she just walked Sylvan through their new, uploading their new chart of accounts. So she's quite familiar with this
Yeah.
process, so that's
She's in the
good.
trenches. I think she could work through this.
I do too. I mean, I have full faith in Kim Haynes, I think.
So what do is there an additional budget amount for Kim?
That's what I was gonna, that's what, another
what are-
question.
So she could come in and then give us a proposal for doing that piece of
I
it?
think she was actually planning to come in and like actually
Oh.
look over stuff and report and like make some reports and look at things. I did not talk to her about cost. I don't know if you're familiar with her
I
prices.
thought last time
Yeah.
we talked to her, wasn't she $45 an
Yeah,
hour?
something
Yeah.
like that, yeah.
And
Okay.
if we engaged her on a regular routine, I think the dollar per hour went down.
Okay, and should
Do you
we
know what I
say,
mean?
yeah, and so then should we say we'll just bet on a full day of work up to, you know what I mean, a full day of work, even though she may not be here for a full day, but
Right.
approve 8
Yeah.
hours at $45 an
Yeah.
hour? And that's what the board approves tonight, but not to exceed that, but maybe not even to spend that. Does that sound reasonable?
Yeah. You like to make
Yeah,
that
I personally
motion?
would approve a little more.
Yeah, I would say,
Because,
yeah.
you get going and you can blow through, if she
Yeah,
doesn't
we
get
don't
that,
have
so
a
go ahead and
meeting.
come back Thursday and fix it.
That's
Do we
true.
want to have a special board meeting to approve a
No.
a $500 expenditure? And I think this is I kind of think there should be some leeway to the executive team that we should be able to say, okay, executive team, you have the discretion to authorize up to $3,000 or something to employ Kim Haynes to get us to our next meeting and hopefully have a clean G&L.
Is that a motion?
I'll make that motion. Okay. I'm going to make a motion to authorize the executive team to authorize expenditures up to $3,000 to employ Kim Haynes to try to see to work on our G&L, our GL.
So that's about 9 days of work, 8 or 9 days of work,
No.
3,000. If
I'll second.
45. Oh, sorry.
That's okay.
Okay. And what were you saying,
I
Laura?
was saying, so at $45 an hour for 8 hours for one day, that's $360 for one day. So that 3,000 authorizes
We can-
about 8 days
Oh, I see
of
what
work.
you're saying.
I'm just trying to get us to the next
Yeah,
board
to the next
Yeah.
board
To
meeting.
the next board meeting, and so if we're 80% of this is cleaned up by the next board meeting, we can plop in budget numbers.
Yeah.
Because
exactly.
honestly, I mean, the revenue side of it is not nearly as extensive as the expenditures.
Right.
So, I
Right.
mean, that's why I said I feel confident that I could do this work,
And the
but
more
I,
and more we go through this, I think between us doing that and all these things, our to-do action, I kind of feel by February, we could be in a much better place
Yeah.
to lay in numbers
Do the
for the
budget, yeah.
Any more
The only thing I agree. I mean, I don't want to sound like I don't agree. I just would really like to see like scopes of work, because my biggest concern is I hear that the first firm was engaged to do something, didn't finish it, and that could be the reason that we're having these issues. And then the new person is also not addressing those issues, but I would hate to have a third person and be creating more issues instead of addressing issues. So I would really want to make sure that the scope of work, either that the scope of work is written so that Kim and, is it Heather? That's not the other, are working closely together so that it's getting accomplished, or that we're saying to Heather, we're sorry, we've moved on and someone else is doing this a different way. I don't want to be paying two people to create more problems.
No, I
That's my-
completely hear
If
you.
you might find out on Monday if Kim can do, if she just walks Sylvan through all the new GL numbers, you might find that she's able to look at ours and say, you know, close, she might be a lot faster and less expensive than Heather. But that would be after a conversation on Monday.
Yeah.
I just think she's in the trenches.
Well-
You need a person in the trenches.
And I think we're looking for someone, a bookkeeper, right?
Yeah.
And, I mean, so we had two things going on. One is an incomplete execution of a new chart of accounts and a whole bunch of errors that resulted from that. And we had a CPA firm coming in to complete the work that the prior firm didn't complete. And now we're talking about getting a bookkeeper in here to just do our books, right? Is that
hope
what
so.
we're talking about? Yeah. I mean,
I kind of think that's what we're talking about.
and I don't know I'm a little concerned to hear that Heather, the CPA firm, I thought we were bringing them in to clean up the general ledger and execute the chart of accounts. So that, complete the adoption of the changed chart of accounts, but it doesn't sound like that's work is complete.
What? Well, the thing is that, I mean, I don't understand why, I mean, the chart of accounts just needs to be initiated by BSNA. I mean, what Heather was doing was, like I said, right
Cleaning
now,
up.
she's cleaning up
All
like
these old-
all of the inactive accounts and doing all of that, whatever she needs to do to clean all of that up before we can initiate. And it really, I mean, BSNA does, they're the, I can't talk, they're the ones that are doing the chart of accounts. They're updating all of that. So really, I mean, you just need to initiate. I don't know that we need to pay Heather to tell BSNA, hey, update our chart of accounts. You just need to get on the list.
And we need to then
initiate it.
assign the transactions to the new chart of accounts
Yeah.
instead of to the old chart of accounts. That's all we really need to do. And so it sounds like, if I understand right, Heather might have gone in and really cleaned up some old, not just stuff from the last year, but like stuff since we got BSNA, where she just went in and inactivated old accounts.
I
and
think that's what
cleaned
she's in
up
the
a whole bunch
process of
stuff.
doing now.
Yeah. So she kind of did more than we thought she was going to do in a way, and in another way, didn't quite finish what we were hoping would get finished.
The other thing is, I think we're finding stuff as Heather goes through.
Yeah.
Like, we didn't know there were new numbers, like the new chart of accounts had already been begun last March.
Right.
But we
Right.
didn't know that on the accounting, and when that whole shift happened, we weren't informed, and then we had 10 months of, ooh. So I think it's finding out the errors. I mean, it's like, we're digging down and digging through it and finding more issues as we go, kind of. But it sounds, as we find the new issues, it sounds like there's resolutions that may be available to.
Well, there always is. I mean, the good news is, and that what always makes me feel comfortable, is that this is all hitting the general ledger. It's all just a matter of
in the wrong
moving
spot.
it to the right spots.
Yeah.
We're
Yeah.
not missing money, the money is all there. I reconcile the general ledger to our bank accounts monthly.
It's like
I think
taking the filing cabinet and refiling every piece of paper.
that's exactly what
All
it
it
is.
is. Yeah.
So I'm confident, and that's
Yeah.
why I ran that trial balance report too,
Yeah.
so you can see that these funds all exist.
Yeah.
The money is there, they're in buckets,
Yeah, I get it. We just need someone to come in and actually
Yeah, I mean,
move it.
it's
Move it.
it's
Yeah.
a complicated thing. I mean, that's something that is,
And I'm not that comfortable really reading a balances report, but I think what it's showing is that our net assets have gone down by about $500,000, which is
true.
which is what we planned for, because we plan to put this money into the roads and
And
other.
Karen, like I
things.
said, I mean, that was kind of an example just to show you guys. I don't know that I put all the settings the way that you would want them.
Oh, so
or-
it may not be complete.
Well, I don't know. I mean, like I said, I did this like literally,
Yeah.
a half hour before the board meeting. I was just playing around with it.
Yeah.
But I thought, hey, maybe I'll run this and at least be able to see that those funds are there and the money is there, and it certainly looks like it is. So
Yeah.
I was pretty satisfied to see that. And I mean, like I said, all these reports, there's a million settings that you can make on these reports and generate a bunch of different ways to ask it what you need it to do, so. Just like that last revenue and expenditure report, that I ran, I was able to go in, change the settings and include the ARPA money in that fund and, our investments and all of those things.
So that's on here?
What's that?
That one's on here?
No, that's Diane's report that she ran.
Okay.
No, my old one,
Yeah,
the one from last meeting.
they still have to be reclassified.
Yeah, I mean, I think this one is
Capital
showing
improvements.
a little more than this report, but,
Yeah, there is
Yeah.
one, there's two different ones that I ran, so.
yeah.
But you're free, I printed those off for you, really. I was like, Karen will like these, I'll
Yeah.
give those to her and she can take them home and play with them.
Yeah, where's the other one?
We
Is that-
have
is
a
that-
motion on the table, right?
Is that the other
And a
one?
second to approve $3,000 to, what's the motion?
To allow the authorize the executive team to spend up to $3,000 to employ Kim Haynes to work on the bill.
Oh, I see, this is
Okay,
fine.
and
I
it's been
second it.
seconded. So we're kind of going off track on the motion, so let's go ahead and does anybody want to say anything else about that in
Another-
particular?
If I could, another thing that's so important, having the first firm, then the second firm, and now with Karen Haynes coming in?
Kim.
Oh, Kim, sorry. Having them even write a paragraph of what they're doing every day or what they've performed, just so we have, a track of what they're doing.
Like a log.
Absolutely. It's
Diane
so
had,
important.
Diane, you had Heather.
She did reach
Yeah,
out to
Heather,
Heather,
that
but
was
she had
in the
already been
list.
here 5 times, so.
Had she been here 5 times?
Yeah, but she was only here for a couple-hour stints.
Oh,
3
okay.
times and then 2 full days.
Oh, okay.
But I think that's so important, just to keep on track of what she's doing, what
Yeah,
she's
I agree.
accomplished.
I would think that it would only take like 8 hours a week at the most, maybe even 4 hours a week to do our bookkeeping. I mean,
Yeah, but right now, let's vote on, okay. Can
will
we
go
take a
into the
vote
next
on
year's
if we're
budget.
going to
Yeah,
We should ask
bring
her
Kim in?
and you might want to ask her Monday, if we proceed ahead.
I already
whether-
talked to her about
Oh, so we know what to throw in the budget.
Yep.
Okay. Sorry.
what did she say?
That she would let me know what her availability is, because I said that we may, in the future engage her outside of Monday, to do something, as a kind of a once a week or once a month or whatever, because she's going to have to come in and first assess, what kind of work needs to be done, what our load is like here and whatnot. So I think Monday she'll have a pretty good idea. She came in to meet with us. She never got into any of the books or anything like that to see what, what our scope of work is here really yet. So I'm assuming that it's going to be probably pretty close to what she's already doing though. But she's a busy lady, like I said. She does tax prep. It's that time of the year. She said she's in the process of hiring another accountant to help her out so she can have more freedom. She's out here, I think she lives an hour away, so she's out here every other week working with Sylvan and Multi-Lake. So she was like, I would be able to fit you guys in the schedule, but I think she needs to see first. I think we planned on discussing future stuff as well on Monday.
Okay. We ready to take a vote? Karen?
Yes.
Laura?
Yes.
Michelle?
Yes.
Maris?
Yes.
Lonnie?
Yes.
Karen?
Yes.
And myself, yes. Thank you. Okay.
So what I put on the to-do list is hire Kim to finish the general cleanup, fully execute the new chart of accounts, and work as our bookkeeper in future. And I assigned it to Diane as the lead and then executive team as the assist.
We might want to also add to the to-do list, what kind of reports do we want to see? Like we want the original budget, amended budget report, like we should outline, so when she's here or somebody's here, you can lay out all those parameters of a budget of a report that we want to see, and they can develop it.
Yeah.
Like, why not get the report? Like, I would love to see a multi-month report to see how we're trending, if our bank accounts are trending up, down, you know. It seems like we take these 1 month snapshots, but that doesn't
Give
tell
the
us
big-
where we're going. It doesn't, you know.
Well, I bet Kim can advise on that, too.
Exactly.
So develop a quarterly management reporting package.
Yeah.
And I'll call that reporting.
When you say to tell us where we're going, what do you mean by that, Karen?
Well, to see trends of money, to see your trends of your dollars.
Like
know.
you mean the invested money?
It could be your expenditures money. Are we spending, like, right now, we see, how do I explain this? It's not so much on wages and stuff, but it'd be more like on, it would give you a month-by-month expenditure. So if our attorney fees are high in the spring and low in the fall, like, what's tracking? What
I
are we
see.
doing to see where that money is coming and going?
Yep.
But then again, I'm used to doing budgets by month. Like, you do a 12-month budget, and each one adds up, and then you got a year-end total, so.
Okay.
Might be a little anal here in my own head.
I was going to say a monthly budget. That's-
I mean, that's just how I'm used to seeing things.
Yeah, I get it.
Weird, huh?
No, I think your flow, right, we're going to have, especially if you're looking at revenues, are going to follow your tax.
Oh, yeah.
But
Yeah, yes,
expenditures
but
make,
expenditures.
I think knowing I guess the way I would describe it is the fluctuating operations costs.
Yes.
So Alex, the things, so we
Yeah.
can see if there are, and then that's kind of to Karen's point last week of like, are there real world reasons why this is
Yeah.
off versus
Yeah.
just we didn't budget correctly?
Yeah. And if we're working on a specific project and our legal fees soar, it might be tied to one specific project. And if it's on a timeline, we can tell that. If we say over the year, we spent $40,000, no clue.
Right. Yeah, that's what I was doing with the Woodhill Group with Matt. And we did a cash flow analysis, to see like what time of the year, and how much money do we have at certain
Yeah.
times of the year. Yeah.
Yeah.
I see what you
Plan
mean.
your investments.
You can I did see that in the general ledger. I was just
Oh.
playing around with the reports and I did see that there's
I'm
cash flow
su-
analysis
I'm sure
reports
they
and stuff.
exist.
So.
We just don't get them now.
Yep.
Okay.
So once we get all this cleaned up, then you'll use that as the basis. The cleaned up, the general ledger is the basis of the next year's budget.
Can I ask you a question, since this is on a budget? Do we have any major projects that we need to, if we know our next budget is really almost going to follow our existing budget, let's say, there's nothing, I don't think there's anything that we did this year that is that out, other than roads.
Well, but I think a better practice is to have your next year's budget follow your prior year actuals, not
Okay,
your
yeah.
prior year budget.
Yeah, but
But-
I'm saying,
yeah.
my question is to the group is, do we have any big projects that we plan on taking on in 23, 24, that we should start inputting some dollars? What are going to be our big projects? I mean, the last 2 years have been roads. I don't think we're going to need the $78,000 in broadband. I'm confirming that, but I think we're going to be able to roll that somewhere else. But are there other big ones that we're going to be looking at?
What are going to be the startup fees? Are there any startup costs of like if we start to move towards single hauler? Like, is there going to be things that we're going to have to think about and expenses as far as that startup? And because that seems like that's going to be a big project.
I don't think that's really township costs. I think that goes back to the residents.
Does it?
I think there may be some startup costs in terms of matching to hire a consultant to work with the
Well, Theo got a grant for a consultant to help us with the single hauler implementation. Well, he got a grant for a consultant to develop a toolkit to execute single hauler, and he told me in November that Dexter Township could be the guinea pig township that uses the consultant to develop the toolkit that then he'll have to hand out to other townships.
He's exchanging those, and he's waiting on paperwork, but he did mention that there might be a match for the consultant.
That we would need to throw in, yeah.
Do we have any roundabout dollars? Are we talking 5,000, 10,000?
I'm talking with him on Friday.
Okay.
So I'll get some more.
Okay.
Apparently he's just waiting on the paperwork and then start that.
So that would be a big thing. That would be something we'd throw into the new budget.
There will likely be land preservation projects, but that has its own.
You're funded though.
Yeah, you're
Right,
funded, yeah.
500,000.
You got your pots of money.
Yeah.
Probably roads still, huh?
Yeah, I mean, we've still got 3, so here's the thing, so for roads, you know, I mean, I was originally estimating we could do it all with something like $500,000 a year for 5 years, but then the high-use roads need to be done on a 5-year cycle, so immediately when that 5 years is up, Wiley, McKinley, and here on River Drive would all need to be done again, but at a lower cost, because none of those roads have been done in 15 or 20 years, so they said if we keep it up, if we do upkeep instead of like major repairs, then the ongoing cost is less. So there's that, but then there's this other question, there's a policy question that our road committee is arguing about, but also wants to seek public feedback about, which is, should we seek an ongoing funding source like Open Space has done to create a permanent funding source for local roads? And we've had different speakers come in and talk to us, and it looks like the average cost per parcel would be about $85 if we stick with the policy that we already approved, which is to only take financial responsibility for local collector roads or connector roads, I've seen them both, and to take neighborhood roads out of the equation. So we don't ask the township residents to pay for neighborhood roads. The neighborhood residents have to pay for their own roads, but if the road is used more broadly to get from one place to another in the township, then we use township funds. In that case, it's about $85 per parcel. If we decide we're just going to include all local roads, it would be closer to $185 yeah. And I think there's a member of the committee, well, there's a couple members of the committee who are on fixed incomes, and they just are saying like even $85 is difficult for us and has financial impact for us. And it doesn't mean that they're saying, no, we wouldn't want to do this, but it's not a given that we've got the extra $85. So we're planning to fold into our public engagement this next year, just asking people, maybe we'll open a survey like a Survey Monkey and keep that survey open, and we're planning to do tables at different public events like the farmers market and the cleanup day and so on, and talk to people, and then we may have people fill out the survey while we're at the public event and just say, hey, are you willing to pay? And if you are willing to pay, how much are you willing to pay? And then we'll be coming back to you guys and making a recommendation. The other question is, do we want a special assessment district, which we can just decide on as a board, or do we want to make it a millage, which means we take it to voters, but we don't have anybody who's stepping forward? It's harder to find people that are passionate enough to go out and advocate for a millage for roads, because most people feel like roads, they're utilitarian, they don't inspire passion in the same way that land preservation does, right? Right, and so a lot of townships just go with the township-wide special assessment district because.
Okay, but for this year's budget,
yeah.
what number are we throwing in?
Well,
What number do you want thrown in for this year?
I have sent the list of, I don't know yet, because I'm waiting to hear from the road commission. I sent them the list of roads that we had targeted for this year, assuming that it was going to be 500,000 a year. But I'm guessing it's going to be more than 500,000, because
Okay.
it's all because of inflation.
And what other big projects do we have? Are we taking on a cell tower in the next year or so?
But if we do that, we don't pay for that.
No, but is there any cost to us that we should put in?
We get AT&T and, we get others to pay. That should be a revenue source for us, not a
Yeah.
cost.
Which
I
is
don't know if
good.
there's any
How about an
startup
agri
costs.
center on the corner of Dexter Town Hall Road and North Territorial?
Let's go buy that building. We could.
We could buy that building.
Who's going to operate that?
Well, I think if we bought the building, we could figure that out.
It needs to be
We
private.
can't even figure out film recycling. I'm sorry, but we're not going to be figuring out an ag center. That's a little beyond our
We can't find
capacity.
our tax money.
It's in our strategic plan. It's at the bottom.
Yeah, it's way down here. That's I see that as a private enterprise, a good private enterprise. but a private
Or one
enterprise.
that we could maybe like help happen, but yeah, I just want to,
So I'm just wondering if there's any
thinking.
odd things we have to throw in this budget, like any other major.
Well, we have to look at,
Diane you were looking at lighting, whether we wanted to pay for some street lighting in particularly dark places.
oh, right, yeah, that's true. So that would be like a flashing light at like, Island Lake Road and Dexter Town Hall, maybe to some of the subdivisions.
Well, we
off of
can't
Dexter.
we can't do it at Island Lake and Dexter Town Hall because we can't, if it's a primary to primary connection, we don't have authority. It would have to be at a local road, so we could do it at a subdivision, but we can't do it at Dexter Town Hall and Island Lake Road.
No, I thought, good, okay.
It's a county road, right?
Yeah, because it's a primary, because the road commission controls the primary road. I only know this because Diane asked me to look into it. I did not know this 3 weeks ago, but I know it now.
I know last year you had talked about like wanting to do updates to the town hall. Are you still
Oh, yeah,
leaning
right.
on
The
that?
building. Can we please paint this place?
I really despise the blue.
I like
Well,
the
I
blue.
mean, I think the blue is one thing, but we were talking about how to open it up, so we would have a more
Usable
easy way to, instead of being broken out into pods, an easy way to have people in the township communicating with one another for work. So, I don't really, yeah. I don't know.
We would probably need like a.
I thought that was partially in ARPA funds. I
It
mean,
was,
and we
no.
can roll those ARPA funds, if we.
Was that partially enough?
I think
I
so.
thought part of it was in the.
I did
ARPAs.
not think that we used ARPA funds for
No,
that.
I didn't,
I thought we did. I thought we had.
I
Oh,
thought to
no, no,
have the
it was like-
architect come out
It was
and.
130,000, right, or something like that we put aside for.
Huh?
It was like 160.
Was it 160?
But it wasn't in the current year's budget. It was in, remember we did a
It was a
multi-year
multi-year
budget?
budget,
And I think this year's budget for
I
it was
think it was-
smaller. It was like, just to do exploration, like 15 or 30.
I think it was to have an architect come out
Yeah.
basically and draw
And give
some
us a plan,
designs,
Yeah.
right, for planning.
That's sounding
Yeah.
more familiar.
So we leave that? Do
We
we
can-
leave that in the existing budget?
We'll move it forward to next year.
We can move it forward.
So our ARPA, if we can go back to ARPA was 685,000 roughly, right? 154 went to multi-way.
I mean, we should have records of all of this, right? I mean, guys, don't we have records of,
It should be on that.
not just the budget document, but don't we have a written we had a budget proposal that laid all this out and we approved it and we have
It's gonna be
minutes?
in the minutes somewhere.
Yeah.
Well, it's in that book that we put together last
budget
year,
book,
that
yeah.
everybody got the budget book. You
Yeah.
also got the strategic planning and then
Right.
the long-term planning
Yeah.
budget is in there, so I could,
We should probably have that here with us.
yeah, I could go get it.
Can you?
Yeah.
Just so we can secure
I even
and
know
see
where
where it is.
I don't have my
I
glasses.
think I have a copy of it too. This?
Could be.
And I have the
Is that
Chelsea
your
landfill
ARPA?
contract on my desk. I can go grab that.
The Chelsea landfill contract?
Well, what we're paying for at least.
Cool. Do you want a piece of chocolate?
She has a pocket of kisses.
I brought my own.
Where's the bag?
I bring it to every meeting.
Never shared with us, did she?
So the ARPA must be in here.
Yeah.
Anybody else, you guys just let me know if you want some more of this, and I'll pass it.
Oh, that's our meeting calendar.
I can't read this.
So can I ask you a question, Karen? I'm not sure how to pronounce your last name.
Sickinga.
So you were saying that the road continued to business that, so Washtenaw County is responsible for roads like North Territorial, Dexter Town Hall, Dexter Picking Road?
Right.
Okay. And then the private roads, like, say, Grant or Toma, are those are not, well, Toma's probably the main road because
Well,
it's like 18, but.
Well, there's, private roads are privately owned roads, so that's like, there's a little road off of Walsh Road that's just like the people that live on it own it and it's on their, they give easements to each other, so that's a private road.
Well, that could very well.
But then there's local roads
Local. Those
that are,
local.
and and you can't really tell, you have to know, you have to look at a map sometimes to know which ones are local versus primary is what they're called if the road commission is responsible for them. So like here on River Drive is a primary
I
road
don't see it in here, Danielle.
south of North Territorial, but it's a local road north of North Territorial. And whether it's paved or not is not, there are plenty of primary roads that are unpaved, and there are local roads that are paved, so paving is just a different category.
Here it is.
But if it's local,
Here's a
some
5-year
local roads
capital
are like
improvement
subdivision
plan.
roads.
Here, it's on page
that-
24.
that
Diane.
where you just, only the neighbors and their guests tend to use them.
Right.
Because there's no outlet on the other side, and those are called, the road commission calls those, I think they call them local neighborhood roads.
Okay.
And then there's another category of local roads, like here on River Drive,
Yeah.
where you can enter on one end and exit on the other end, and those get used as part of the countywide transportation system. Basically, people drive on them to
Are
get
you
from
looking
one
at the
place to
ARPA
another. So a lot of townships, so there's very little funding outside of townships available for local roads. And so a lot of townships have just made a decision that they're not going to pay for neighborhood roads. And part of the reason for that is because a lot of those neighborhood roads are paved, so like a developer comes in, builds a development and puts in a paved road, and paved roads are great in the sense that they are sturdy and they remain in good condition for longer, but when you do have to repair them, they're much more expensive. And so most townships just don't have the money to do the neighborhood road repair and the collector road repair, so it seems like it's some of them, if they're wealthy and they have a lot of money, they'll just maintain everything, but if funds are scarce, that's an easy way for them to kind of make it more financially.
I'm curious who's the responsibility, like, I'm really very pleased that they're gonna fix that, intersection at Dexter Town Hall.
Yeah. Yeah. That's a federal grant that they got,
Is this what
safety
you
grant,
have?
yeah.
For the ARPA funds? But then that has 100 and, we reassigned the,
No, this is not in his packet. No, so we had 300 to open space.
and
221 to, that's not what the one is.
Yeah. This is a strange one.
Oh, yeah, 84.
We had 154 to sewer.
Yeah, 45, 25.
I don't know what this one is.
Sewer.
What are you doing that for,
We're
Karen?
just looking at the,
Why are you doing it?
Because I was looking to see, on one report, it says that we're gonna use ARPA 600,000, but that says our ARPA is 9-something on, but it's not. But it also tells you what capital improvements, and under capital improvements, it says broadband, and it tells, when I was working with Michelle earlier, she was questioning what goes under what engineering firm in that. And this document tells kind of where it's supposed to go. Like this says, legal and professional contracted services, 36,000. 25 was for architecture for town hall, 10 was for land management, 1,000 was for a single hauler, then we
Right.
had 30,000 for
And so that
engineering.
budget book, I mean, most people that like, if you're managing the general
They have the
ledger,
notes.
you've got the budget book next to you and you
Yeah.
flip to the page that says.
But we don't have any of those notes. Like, we need that, we need those.
I mean, is there a place to put notes into the
BSNA.
budget, into BSNA?
yeah.
We should do
So
that.
when we upload the budget, we could put in a note that says, this budget line is for blah, blah, blah.
That's what this says.
Yeah, I think that's one thing we said last meeting, was that we're going to have much more descriptive notes and.
Well, I think we were saying we were going to rename some of the line items.
But we also said one, like, say, okay, because here, like, I don't know.
So should I
From this
add-
meeting to the last meeting, under supervisor, all of a sudden, I have $857 in travel expenses, which I didn't go any, oh, $847.50. Sorry, guys, I didn't go anywhere, and I don't know. And I'm looking at this, and now there's Woodhill reimbursements under this reclassify, and some of it's
back in May.
reclassified. Yeah, but this was never under, when we had the last meeting, I didn't have any travel expenses. And now, all of a sudden, I have $847.50 in travel expenses.
Where do you see that, Diane? Can you put your mouse
Yeah,
on it?
yeah. Okay, I'm going to supervisor, to travel
Oh,
and
I see.
transportation. It said I had 750 budgeted if I wanted to, go to a conference or something. And then last meeting, it said I didn't have anything. I mean, I didn't spend any money.
So go to the end date of 12/31/2023. Go up at the top up there, yeah, switch it up. Nope, yep, right there.
If you look at the very bottom to revert.
And now what does it say?
Same thing, 847.
Well,
How
yeah,
did that just-
because you can see that it wasn't for this month. So someone
And it
put
wasn't
that
for the
open.
month before either, because it's 0 on the month before.
Oh, wait, it didn't change. I don't know why
Yeah,
it
so we
didn't
didn't do, it's right here. And I don't know if Heather's in there doing something, I don't know why
I
that
don't
would
know why
populate.
Heather would.
Yeah, I don't know why, all of a sudden.
So no one in my office did that.
Well, we can see, I mean, I can go into the general ledger tomorrow and look up and see what manual entry was made to put that there. And it shows who it was, if it was Heather, me, Michelle.
I mean,
it
'cause
wasn't me,
these
but-
are the kinds of things I was looking at before the last meeting, and that, the other expenses are legitimate. I think the $14.99 must be for Zoom, so we have that Zoom account.
Because it would be an activity for.
Oh, no, that's not even right. So this $14.99 is for Flag Star statements. And why would that be under supervisor? That's not, and why would that be under,
Well, someone purchased Zoom.
but it's not Zoom, that's what I was assuming, because that's the
The
price for Zoom.
$14.99.
But when I open it up now,
I can
oh, I
pull the
see, it's
statement.
on the Flex, it's on the Flag Star. Okay, that's right, okay, I get
So
that.
go back to that 847.50 and click on the detail.
There you go.
So all that is the detail of that 847.50?
Looks like there's a lot.
Well, there were a lot
in
of,
reverse.
a lot
Yeah,
of
there were a
things
lot of
reversed, but it's still,
But it nets to 847.50, which,
Why were there so many entries? It's all in this, almost all in the same day.
because it's a whole lot of other crazy
I think it's a whole lot we can't
reversals.
explain.
Yeah. It's
During
just-
those times, I don't think I think we'd have to come to the general consensus between April of 2020 22, and currently, there's a lot of this. And to try to go back and justify it,
Yeah,
we
but-
will be circling our heads from here to.
Right, but
Okay, I
It's
understand
Diane
that,
saying she
but
didn't have
here
that
on 131,
That's just the ending
That's just
balance.
standing balance.
That's just the balance as of the date you ran it for.
right, but why wasn't this in,
Why wasn't it on last?
why wasn't it on like a week ago, and now all of a sudden, there's $847.50?
I don't think that's true, Diane. I think the 4750 has been there since May.
Let me look.
Do you have it last?
I have it last, I just have to find your number.
I'm right towards the top.
Oh, there you are.
Because,
Yeah, it was there last
Yeah.
month.
It was
Yeah,
It
there?
was there
Sure.
in the last report.
Okay, sorry, my
Yeah.
mistake on that.
because it would have to show, there would have to be activity showing in the period. It wouldn't show as a zero in the period if there was activity in the period.
Okay. Well, I don't know where that came from, so I guess I
Well,
missed
it's
it.
a net of all those debits and credits, and it happens to be equal to the amount of a Woodhill Group invoice. So I assume that it's.
Right, but it shouldn't be under travel and transportation for the
Right, it's-
supervisor. That's what I'm saying.
Right,
So
I mean,
that-
I think that they.
This is-
Actually, and I need to look into this, but the Woodhill Group did have travel and transportation during the budget.
Yeah, but it wouldn't necessarily go under the supervisor's travel and transport.
Right, I mean,
It's
that
in
would.
the wrong GL account.
That would be in
But
like
I'm
what
just saying,
contracted services.
potentially.
Yeah, it'd be under consultants travel or
Like the
something.
attorneys have been, there's some attorney stuff that was corrected. Yeah.
I don't,
You can
This-
see all the questions.
Okay, so that was one I had a question about, and I didn't see it last time, so,
Add that to the action steps.
yeah.
I mean, that's just a really, I mean, we could reverse every entry in the whole general ledger and then start over.
I don't know how this all worked, like, at all, but is it possible that the supervisor's number from here is a new number, like for contract services? So if the number's were off, no?
It's
On the chart of
keeping the wrong
accounts?
GL.
I mean, if you looked at that list of detail, that I think they just tried to reverse all that stuff and they weren't complete, it was incomplete. That's my speculation. There were all those transactions, and then they were all
Yeah.
reversed, and one of them was 847.50, and that one didn't get reversed or didn't get,
So I wonder if you go to the contract services, if all of them except for in 84750 are now under travel there. Is that
Well,
a-
I'm not sure, but these would be Heather questions because she did pull the receipts too. Because I know when I went through, both my deputy and myself went through the supervisor, treasurer, clerk, I already know my expenditures. But we cross-referenced all receipts, so, I mean, I don't know where that came from.
And no offense, Michelle, don't take anything that I'm going to say right now personally, but during this period of April, May, June, July, August, a lot of things were hopping here, hopping there, hopping here, hopping there. And I don't think you can go back and find every one of those, to tell you the truth.
Yeah.
I think we'd be looking for peanut shells in, a silo.
Well, I think what Heather is probably doing is taking all the invoices from the start of the fiscal year and confirming that those invoices that she's got her stack that goes under supervisor, and she's making sure that the net in the supervisor is equal to the invoices.
Right.
And she's reversing everything that,
But those aren't her reversals.
Yeah, I
Those
know.
are from May. So what's happened, I agree with you that that's what she's doing, but some of this stuff, we're just gonna have to click and drill down and then make 2 journal entries to subtract and to add. I mean, it's
right,
just,
right, and
we have
that's,
to list them out and have either Kim do them or somebody just sit and dead enter them all. Because that's how, like, the last week, we were finding Stan text. Well, Michelle found the $15,000. It was just keyed all over the place. And now it's,
I put them into the one multi-lake account.
yeah, now
It
it's
was
into,
an
now
empty
it's into,
multi-lake
now
account.
it's into engineering,
Yeah.
which I don't think is And I said, okay, we know it's in engineering now. I don't think that's the ultimate place for it to end, because it really should end over in ARPA funds, because those were part of ARPA funds. But right now, we know where they are.
I mean, what would be ideal would be just to reverse the whole general ledger and
It would
start.
be, but that's a whole lot of re-entry.
Not really. What do we have, 100
What do
transactions?
what do you mean by reversing the whole general ledger? I mean, how does that even?
Zero it out.
Zero it out and start over.
That's what I think, too.
Yeah.
I mean, how many invoices could there be? How many things have we paid in a year?
You'd be surprised.
I think there's going to be a lot.
Whole bunch?
100 a month.
Yeah, that's what I think, 100 a month. So that would be
1,200.
1,200 invoices.
I
That's
don't
12.
think we could just sit here.
I think we could just sit and drill down and say,
Yeah,
this should go here and this should go there.
That's what
and
I
that's-
kind of
Yeah.
we just sit and drill down.
Yeah, but I don't think we should sit here at a meeting, a public meeting.
No, I think we build a team to drill down, make a list of all the changes that have to have happen, and then execute Kim
And
to
this is
make the
not what,
changes.
I thought this is what Heather was doing, was drilling down and correcting the details. So that's not what she was.
Yeah, it sounds like the board's definition of cleanup meant fix these things, and her definition of cleanup was like remove inactive accounts.
But
Is that the-
I think
No, she was supposed to do both.
what we
Okay.
knew to ask her to do, we've learned more since
Since then.
we've engaged her.
Gotcha.
We learned that she even had to go back to the previous year to clean up things before we could come into this year. Do you know what I mean? So the depth of the project grew
Well,
because we
but I
didn't know.
don't see how she could do that, Karen, because you can't go into a closed year and change the
Didn't she
general.
have to clean up some of the general ledger?
You cannot do that.
That was
That,
before we did our audit.
you can't go into a closed,
I agree.
yeah.
I hear you. But I think it was done before Rena closed the books.
I don't think so.
Oh, maybe
Because
not.
that was September.
Yeah,
And Heather, yeah.
But Heather's depth has definitely changed.
Okay, so here's another one I have a question about. Okay, so here we have expenditures, right at the end of total revenues. It says expenditures miscellaneous, zero's budgeted, 1795.80 is spent. So what is the 1795.80 on?
What page are you on?
Yeah,
The
where are we?
first page,
Okay. Where?
right under, now let me see,
I
now
need
this.
to look at the hard copy.
Yeah, so if
Oh,
you're on this
miscellaneous.
page,
Yeah.
the first page, and
This
then
is
right
not-
under revenues,
Okay.
it says it says expenditures. It's
So-
Department 000.
Yeah.
And there's nothing budgeted but 1785.80.
Actually, that's a credit. And that's where she put the credit from the credit card statement.
I don't think that's a credit. Go back, Diane.
Because I remember her putting credit card
It's a debit right on the,
Yeah, this is not a credit. This is a debit.
it
I
says
have no
correct
idea.
outstanding bank rec item, 1785.80. And then over, under reconciling
this isn't-
item on bank rec, it's a
That
1
could
cent.
be,
And this
you know
is-
what I believe this is?
What?
Is there was I want to say it was from, I think it was 2018, from the previous board, there was a duplicate point and pay payment for a tax payment from 2018 that I kept carrying over, and of course, whoever was reconciling the bank accounts, we do it a completely different way now, but that should have been cleared out years ago, and it wasn't. So I believe that's what that was. And here's the thing, that's now showing up for Matt, and Matt was saying the other day, he's like, I want that gone. And for whatever reason, whatever Heather and Michelle did, that's now showing up again on the general ledger where it wasn't before. Now all of a sudden magically it is. And Matt,
Diane,
we
can
were
you go
just
up
saying the other
so
day
we can
that,
see the headers.
that we need to get rid of that so we can be zeroed out.
Oh, I see. Yeah, well, will it get zeroed out at year end?
Well, I don't know. I mean, she was supposed to take care of it. I mean, she said that she was going to take care of it. And then for whatever reason, it's just now, I mean, because we didn't even see this for forever, and all of a sudden it's just there. And I'm like, where did this come from?
Well, it's
And I've
from
had this
April-
happen a couple
It's
times.
from April 1st, so it has nothing to do with Heather.
Well, there was an entry made on April 1st, yeah, but that doesn't mean that whatever transaction that wasn't from something a long time ago.
Oh, yeah, no, I know. I'm
Do you
just
know what
saying
I
it
mean?
wasn't Heather that did that because she wasn't here in April.
Oh, wait a minute. Oh.
Yeah, it's April 1st.
So this is the kind of thing I don't,
Okay, now I'm really wondering then, where did this come from? Maybe that isn't what I was thinking.
What's this? The
well,
G-
can I just say, I don't want to
Huh?
sit here and
The
do this
GJ?
right now because we don't have any, we
It's
don't
all
have any
general law.
answers.
No.
Hey, guys, we don't have the answers to any of that. There's no point in us sitting here while you guys look at the.
No, but I
transaction.
think what happened last month, or last meeting, was that we found these areas that we can't
She wants it
explain.
added to the action list.
Yeah. Oh, good, yeah, let's add it to the action list.
She's adding errors that she notes to the
What-
action
So,
list.
so I'll tell you what this makes me feel like is we could probably sit down and click on each one of those because it's a net of a bunch of negatives and positives. And any one of those, if we looked at the details, we would be like, what happened here? So I can add to the list.
I understand what you're saying, but at this point, I think we're correcting the big errors to get our budget done. And I hate to say this, it is not going to be accurate for 2022. These individual GL numbers are not going to be accurate unless we sit and drill down on every one and match it to every piece of paper. But if we can clean up these big ones, and I kind of think we need a little ad hoc committee to sit and drill down. And, you know, if it takes 3 people at a time, one to click, one to find the paper, and one to fix, or get it on a sheet of paper before we fix it. And that's, I kind of hate the
Yeah,
concept
I
that we
think-
go in and we change each one at our leisure. It
Well-
feels like there needs to be a master list of everything that gets changed, old GL amount, new
And I-
GL amount.
And I agree with you.
And
The
you do a
difference,
mass entry.
the difference between this and last week is these are much smaller transactions.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, if we want to have a working group that drills
Because
down.
you're gonna
on
have
this
to
stuff.
drill down and find, and identify these. And you need a piece of paper, old GL with the amount, where it goes, and then we create a master list of everything that needs to be changed. And whether it's Kim that goes in and changes all, then we come out with hopefully an 85, 90% accurate GL. No? Am I off base?
I think if you're doing all that work, you might as well come out with 100%.
Yes,
Just do them all.
Say, wait a minute.
No, I'm saying you do them, but, yeah.
I mean,
Well, see,
it
my
sounds like a lot of
concern is-
extra work.
Yeah, we don't know, you know.
I guess that's my question, and that was kind of my question earlier to the scope of work for Kim, is like, what are we, so it sounds to me like we've hired at least 2 firms already and still are not correct. So like, why haven't we just hired someone to redo the whole thing, if that's the,
You want to know what's frustrating to me is even though Heather was, she gave me information, positive information, I was under the assumption we were going to open up every single one of these buckets, go through every receipt. It would have been very quick for her to do. Me pull them, or I could have done the journal entry, that would have been fine, but it didn't work that way. She opened up the whole general ledger for the whole year, and she was just skimming through and moving things where she felt that they were inaccurate.
Wait a minute, I thought we did hire her to do that, though, that we hired her to go through, I thought that's what you guys were doing.
No.
Pulling-
I mean,
Yeah, that's what we had
pulled-
discussed.
Yes, but she opened it up, and I informed definitely Diane. She opened up, and she went and had a pretty long conversation with Diane
Oh.
after she finished. And
I did
that's
not.
what she
This
did.
is the
She
first
opened
time
it all up
hearing.
into an Excel sheet. And she was able just to
know
see
that.
the total amounts.
Oh, this
She
is the
didn't.
first time hearing of this. I thought you guys
She
actually
opened
went
everything up
through-
into an Excel sheet?
She was able to open up the whole year.
Well, where's that information? I haven't seen that.
She was working on the deputy clerk's computer. And there were certain areas that she did pull, like Flagstar, the attorneys. So she went through those, combed through those pretty well.
I mean, before she, okay, I'm confused, because before she came, we had Kim and Abby went through all the paper files, so that if she wanted to see, you know, so that if you guys were rectifying where,
invoices.
then she could get the file and say, this is that bill and that's that bill, and match them up, and then fix it in the GL. And you're saying that's not what happened?
No, she did not pull every receipt, no.
Not
And I
every-
asked why we weren't
Yeah.
going through every receipt, and she stated that she could go through them relatively quickly by opening up the whole year expense bucket that she was in, and just seeing if it looked like it was the right location. So, I mean, you all have to know, I mean, she was here for maybe 3 days. She should have been here a lot longer, and I was questioning, like, aren't we going to go through every receipt? And we did not do that.
Well, just, I mean, to me, it just sounds like if that's what we're talking about, like, we just need to be clear about what the next person, like,
Yeah.
what we're actually, if that's the plan, whether it's Kim and
Right. and we-
whoever. Because it sounds like an enormous amount of work, but I mean, at this point, I don't know what else we do.
Well, to me, to be honest, I don't know that it sounds like an enormous amount of work, like I said, I mean, if it's, I don't know,
Better put that on the Kim question list. How enormous is this?
yeah, because we're a pretty small department.
That may be true. It just all I mean, when you talk 1,200 invoices, that sounds like a lot to me, like, especially if there's new numbers and all
Well,
that,
it's
but,
not only the invoices, you have to do all the income entry, you have to do all.
Yeah.
Because that, you have to go back and reconcile all your bank accounts. I mean, if you're creating it from scratch, you're redoing everything.
Well,
Yeah,
what if
that's pretty
some
wild.
things are accurate? Like, what if the
Well, you
things
have
that,
to
like the
figure out what the-
payroll is
Oh, yeah.
accurate?
Like, I know the paychecks
So we
is
can put that
accurate.
aside.
But if you're going to zero it out, you're going to reactivate that. I think we're beyond that. I do. I so wanted that done months ago. I wanted just to wipe it clean and come in new. But at this point, I think we drill down and we clean up what we clean up and, you know,
Okay, can I just,
I don't know.
so I see where, Michelle, you copied me, and you sent Heather the chart of account conversion in Excel, because she
Right.
asked you for it. Is that because, did she create this, and it was on our computer, and she wanted it at home?
No, that's ours.
You
that-
create
that's-
this Excel sheet?
Well, BSNA creates it, but yeah.
Okay, and this is the whole year, this is what you're talking about, right?
She wanted that because that's all the accounts, and there are so many of them that
And this
we don't
is-
use.
Okay. Okay, so let me just, I'll
That was
show-
our meeting
Show you that.
with
I
the three
could-
executives.
Huh?
That was the meeting with the three executives when she actually went
I never, did you see this? This was 11/13.
with all the banks and,
Oh, this is just your chart of accounts.
Yeah.
And this isn't anything, this is just
Right.
the chart of accounts.
So so what was the date? Okay. That was January 23rd, and January 13th, I asked Heather, what is the work completed by you? She said, reviewed all the expenses to date to verify that they were in the correct expense line, reclassed expenses as needed based on my review, reverse duplicate correcting entries that were entered prior, found during my review, set up new GL numbers as needed, corrected outstanding bank reconciliation issues from prior years, created entries in the general ledger for any unreconciled items treasurer had outstanding on the bank reconciliations. The former deputy sat with me for some of this process, which was beneficial as he was able to, the former deputy clerk sat with me, but he's not really the former, so, yeah. He was able to explain why certain entries were made so that I could determine what the correct entry should be, whereas the clerk was not able to. posted prior year audit entries, posted prior year audit entries, reconciled the Flagstar Bank credit card statements and made corrections. I explained to the clerk what to do if there is a credit on the statement. However, I was not able to show her since we did not have a current statement with a credit. I recommend the clerk reach out to me the next time she receives a statement that has a credit so that I can show her properly how to do that. Training provided to clerk, how to process EFT payments in accounts payable, how to create new general ledger numbers to the general ledger, guidance on where expenses should be posted, how to post the journal entry for transfers made between accounts, initialed by the treasurer, how to post the journal entry for transfers made to Michigan class, initiated by the treasurer. And then C was work completed by clerk, processed January EFT payments in accounts payable on her own, pulled invoices / reports and assisted me with my review of expenses. And then with my assistance, the clerk created journal entry for recent transfers made by treasurer, created new GL number and general ledger. Training provided to the treasurer was recommend that ACH payments be processed through cash receipting rather than a journal entry. Showed deputy treasurer how to enter a negative receipt for a misapplied payment.
Huh?
Is that what you were?
Is that what you were talking about?
No.
And then work completed by treasurer provided me with outstanding bank reconciliation issues and questions that needed to be corrected. Once corrected, had to reopen the bank reconciliations and verify everything balanced.
I did all that.
Yeah, you did that. Work completed by treasurer and implemented my recommendations to use cash receipting for ACH payments.
So it sounds like she did review. all
Yeah,
the
so
payments.
next steps are review the current chart of accounts and provide recommended changes. So that's really where we're at with Heather right now.
So what it sounds to me is that you did review all the expenses, and we just can't answer, we just don't know what the outcome is. So when we're looking at these, we have questions, and no one can answer them. It's-
I don't know. There was a line in there where she said, review and update at my discretion or at my,
Right.
So both of these things could be true,
Based
right?
on my recommendation.
Yeah, so maybe she didn't see it as a mistake, but now we're seeing it as, to Karen's point about like we found other things, like maybe at that point when they reviewed it.
There was one Stantec bill that was miscoded in land preservation, and she didn't notice that, and then the other two.
She wouldn't know.
Oh, no, I understand, but we didn't pull those receipts either.
Yeah, that's kind of my point, that both of those could be simultaneously true. That
Yeah, I see your point.
Yes.
So even if it was an error, which it wasn't intended to be put into an incorrect bucket, those receipts weren't pulled.
So the review of expenses was not detailed.
Correct. And honestly, I thought she was coming back in. I didn't know that was her last day here. So when she did email back out, she did say meeting in Teams. I misread that line. But I was like, oh, wonderful, she's coming back in. So we're going to continue where we left off, because I was under the impression we're going to go through every single one of these buckets, where we didn't.
So it sounds like to me, maybe that's where Kim, right, maybe that's where this discussion, and it picks up, so that it's not, I mean, my biggest concern is that we end up with again, too many,
Well, I
like,
mean,
too
do
many
we-
cooks in the kitchen trying to, and we don't actually end up fixing anything, that it all just
I mean, if we're-
continues to spiral.
This should still be part of her contract.
If the board is sitting here and they're finding issues, but yet she's saying that it's fixed, that's a conflict, right? So I feel like we should have her come in and say,
Yeah.
hey, we're seeing this, you said you fixed it, which is it? You know what I mean? Because these are the issues that we're finding. What you know, we were under the assumption that we contracted you to help the clerk
Fix these.
to fix these, and now we're still seeing issues, so can you explain how the process, I want to know, like, the process that she went through with her to make sure that all of this stuff was corrected, because clearly we're still having issues.
Right, and
So-
we know that some of these things are wrong, you know?
Yeah.
Like, we know that we know that there are still
So
errors in
how-
here.
yeah, how then can she say, I'm on to the next thing?
Yeah,
You know?
Phone call.
Huh?
You need to have a phone call with her. Supervisor's job.
so we're gonna invite Heather
Yeah.
to come speak to the board.
I think that would be, yeah, that's what I was.
Hey, can I make a statement to that? How is Heather going to come speak to the board? Then we're not having another board meeting until February 20-something.
Oh, yeah.
Like, I think we need to capitalize on these 3 weeks.
Do we need a special meeting with her?
No, I think the executive team needs to meet with her myself, or 2 from the executive and 1 from the board, so you have, you know, a crossover, I don't know.
That's true.
It just sounds like a,
She could come speak to you guys. You could ask him these questions.
you could probably do it over the phone.
Yeah, just do a Zoom meeting with her and say, hey, these are all the questions the board raised, and here's the to-do list that came out of it, so we know that this process wasn't complete. And so help us understand so we can explain to the board what you did.
Yeah, and why we're getting ready to contract another person to come in and finish the work.
Right.
Since this was her scope, I would definitely prefer her to come back in and go through these receipts like we should have done.
Well, can you reach out to her then? And-
Yeah.
Okay.
There'll be,
I mean, I want to make sure that we're not spending more money. I
Yeah.
mean, this is already $18,000 and.
That's why I'm saying,
Yeah.
what did we get for
and
this?
part of my issue is, I don't know if Heather's in the trenches of this stuff.
Well, and was it 3 days of work for $18,000? That doesn't sound right.
It does not.
I know.
Right. It shouldn't have been $3,000 a day.
And the first day was, what, she came in for half a day and she hopped on the computer and started looking
Where's
through.
her bill?
We
How
haven't
much-
received a
how many
bill.
hours? Oh, we haven't received a bill.
So how do we know it's $18,000?
Well, I mean, that's just what we contracted, and she said she's going to keep it.
Yeah, I
within
mean,
this.
if she spent 8 hours working with us and she charges whatever,
$100
150,
Yeah.
probably 150.
Plus
$245.
travel.
Well,
plus
she
however
shouldn't be
much her
billing
firm
us.
is.
Well, I don't, maybe she does. I guess it depends on her scope.
Obviously, we need to have some conversation with Heather.
Do we, and the contract, I think we.
Right.
Yeah.
Do we have a cop?
Yeah, I
it was
do have a
before-
Yes, we do.
copy of the
Can I request that?
Yes.
I'd like to see it.
Do you want me to go and grab it? It's
I can
not
grab
us.
it after. I can get a copy after. We don't have to.
Because a
but-
large part of that $18,000 bill is the conversion over to the new chart of accounts. I think that's like 4,000, something like that.
Which if she's cleaning up, I mean, it may be if there's that many old and
There
removing
are.
it,
Oh.
that may actually be worth it. It's the
Yeah,
other, the other
it's-
parts.
It
that-
is, like that for sure. Like, I mean,
That's
it's a mess.
important.
Yeah.
Like, literally, we inherited like a
Yeah,
general ledger that was
came
messy.
when we came into office,
Yeah.
Yeah.
inherited mess. Just wasn't identified fast enough. And we didn't catch it in the first year, so.
So are we done for today? I mean, what's our, we basically, there isn't much we can do because we can't solve these problems.
But we're engaging Kim, so Monday, I'm gonna call her tomorrow and she'll be in on Monday, so.
And are we making?
Michelle, you're available, right, to work with her on Monday at 11:30? Okay, cool. Good deal.
Karen?
And do we sit down, do a couple of us sit down and do drill downs and find? I'm not saying change it, just find them. Like, we sit and drill down on this, and we find the errors. You know, we say, oh, that's not right, that goes over here or something. Should we sit down and do some of that to save time for Kim and that, and build, it'd be an addendum to this list of things that need to be fixed and where? But not to do the changes until one fell swoop. I hate to go in and start mucking things up, and
That's what I'm saying.
we run a report this day, and then it totally, we've had so many of those, that's gotta
I don't know if I
stop.
like that.
And I would do, if it were me, I would just hone in on the variance. I mean, so if we're 75% of the way through the year as of December 31st, we expect the year-to-date
This should be
expenses to be at
83%.
75%, and to the extent that they're not, and if you can give this to me in Excel, which you used to do, so I know it's possible, I can just put in a formula, and we can say where the variance is, and if there's a variance, a significant variance, and I can highlight the lines where there's a variance. And then you guys can do what you're doing with this drill down feature and just drill down on those lines that I highlighted.
Can't we just take this report, and if we're over, like January 31st, and that 83%? If we're over 83%,
Well,
we
yeah,
drill down?
it's showing you percent budget used in the last column, you
Yeah, it
just.
should be 83% for January, isn't it?
Well, yeah, except the books aren't closed on January. I know, or you can't use the variance analysis for January, but for December, you can take the December report and
Yeah.
wherever it's not 75%,
Drill down.
you drill down. If it's, if it's 74%, 73%, 77%.
If it's below
Fine.
75, you're
Yeah.
okay.
And in fairness to Heather, that's exactly what she was doing, was making sure that percentage was, so I remember her.
But she didn't say,
Stating that
look,
too.
we don't have any property taxes, but we know we have property taxes.
I asked her why she wasn't going into the revenues, and she said she wasn't going there.
And we know, and we know the elections were drilled down on. We know that, because we know those numbers are off.
And you can
So
see.
I like that idea. Let's drill down on anything
and-
over 75%.
We know that the salary expenses are largely correct, and you can see that they're mostly at around 70, they're mostly, there's no variance there.
Oh,
but-
you mean the salaries? Yeah, I noticed that.
But virtually every other line item has variances, and that tells me it's not clean. There's a problem.
Yeah, I like that idea. We drill down at anything over 75%.
But does it mean that the rest of it is correct? I mean,
You're-
that's kind of
you're
like us
functioning
looking for the
within-
problems, but what about the things that don't look like problems?
You know what's going to happen though is as we change it, it might throw some of the other ones off and then
See,
you
that's
do
what
a
I'm worried
backup
about.
drill
I feel
down.
like there's been so many
Just because it
things,
just
like-
says, just because it says we're on track doesn't necessarily mean we are.
That's true.
Well, I think but with the bank reconciliations, that just does show that we're on track.
Well, it just
No, but I
shows
mean-
that, it just shows the real, real life
Yeah.
money is all there and accounted for.
Right.
But going forward, this all does need to be fixed prior to us having, being able to do a budget for this year. I mean, it is nice to look at reports and them be accurate so we know where our money is, so we can say, hey, this needs to go here, or we didn't spend enough here, or, I mean, that's the point. That's why we need accurate reporting. It's a need, it's a must.
And honestly, this list of questions that I gave you last week, I did just what I was saying, only I only looked at the material one. I didn't look at, if it was $750 or something. I was only focusing on the ones that were thousands of dollars, not hundreds of dollars. And that's why the list that Karen had was almost identical to my list, because
Right.
we just used the same method.
And I focused in on ARPA and sewer, because it wasn't getting accounted for.
Yeah.
So it's pretty easy to find, really.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
It's
agree.
just sitting down and doing it.
Yeah.
And Maris, this might ask one of your questions. Under revenue, it says refunds and reimbursements, 1785.79. Is that connected to your miscellaneous?
Yeah.
It's a penny differential of,
It's
Oh, yeah.
I mean, are those supposed to offset each other somehow, or?
Probably, because like, it was just weird that it just appeared all of a
Yeah.
sudden, I don't.
That's why I say don't make any changes.
I didn't.
Yeah.
That's what I'm
Because-
saying, like, but
for those few months,
we
we
have
have
to
so
run
many-
reports when we're doing distributions,
that makes sense.
And we have to, like, our tax stuff, that has to line up with the general ledger. We have to
Right.
run QTD reports and all kinds of things to be able to do
Right.
our distributions for tax collection.
I get it.
And when something just pops up, and all of a sudden, we're not, like, we like to be zeroed out.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, when we're not, it makes
Gotcha.
Matt and I crazy. So, like, all of a sudden, these things are just popping up out of the blue, and it's like, I don't know. It's just strange. I don't know what to expect on a weekly basis.
I hear you.
Anymore. I don't know.
So does that sound like a game plan, that we drill down on 70, 75 or higher?
Which we mostly have done a lot of already. you know,
Yeah.
so.
I don't think it'll be that hard, really.
No.
We'll make a list of everything. I'll make
Yeah,
up,
it
I'll make
won't
up
be that hard.
a log sheet where we can log the errors.
Yeah, I mean, there's really very few that we haven't already discussed. So, and they're small, you know, I mean, we're talking, you know, the dollars aren't huge.
Some of the biggest thing is to get the ARPA funds moved into their same proper little category.
Right.
Because they're all over the budget report.
Well, yeah. and they
My
get the-
question is, because of the ARPA funds, were those numbers the same, like the chart of account numbers are different than where it's supposed to be going, or?
Well, I think some of the ARPA dollars are put into our regular budget. But I thought we decided last week we wanted ARPA
Separate.
in its own little
Well,
department, didn't we?
It
Or am I
has to be
wrong?
in its.
I
own-
thought it was
should
in its
be.
own department.
Well,
It's not?
I mean, it,
Is it on one of your future? Did Colleen, that seems like something Colleen might have, because we
well,
were
no,
doing ARPA.
no, Maris printed us out a report, so the budget
Yeah,
got
it's a
set
Fund
up, but we're not
285.
getting the budget in
Right,
here,
I'm
and the
saying
expenses aren't getting assigned
I'm saying
yet.
it's one of those new numbers that we're not seeing run on our
280,
report.
it's Fund 285 here, that's the report that I
285?
printed last.
Hold on, 285.
So we have to make sure that Fund 285 is included in our budget
Because that
variance
wasn't
report.
showing up on your revenue and expenditure reports.
Yeah, I don't agree with these numbers.
I don't
Like,
know.
what was 221,000?
Where are you looking?
Well, this is her report.
Oh,
We don't-
Well, that's this, Karen, I mean, you can reconcile it to this.
Yeah.
Well, I think in the beginning.
And that's already on the to-do list, so.
Washtenaw County
Yeah.
didn't do the broadband thing until after we appropriated that money.
Exactly.
So that, and then we changed it over to
Yeah, but that's
multi-lake.
easy to roll somewhere. I have an email out to Chris Shear to see if we're gonna have to have any money, and if not, we can roll that $80,000 into roads.
So
Or
we've-
78,000, whatever it was.
Well, it's just general fund, right?
Oh, no, but if we roll it, then we're spending the ARPA.
Yeah, yes,
Then we're cleaning our ARPA up.
yeah.
And then we have to clean up the, okay, maybe somebody else can explain this. So on page 9 of 11, Fund 245 is Open Space and Land Initiative. So it has transferred in 300 at the, well, first it has 0 budgeted, then year-to-date balance, 134, 977, then activity for this month is 115, and then transfer in is 300. I don't know.
Well, so we didn't do the transfer in, and I'm wondering if Colleen, you know, so the transfer in is 0. So I don't know if this is if this 300,000 is supposed to be coming in from ARPA or
Yeah.
what?
Yeah,
It
that-
says the amended budget 300, that's why I'm saying ARPA is currently throughout our budget. We need to
Okay.
pull it out.
So what is this check for 93,000?
Well, no, Karen, the Open Space Fund has its own fund code. Fund
It's got the
245.
300,000 for an amended budget, we never funded it in.
Yeah, I know, but it's its own fund code. It's not a general fund. It's not in the general fund. It's in its own fund code.
Okay.
Right, but we
So
want it in our budget.
can we just look at the bills real quick in here? So.
Well, I think Colleen was thinking that she could do an intra-fund transfer in from ARPA. That's how she's got this showing. But it didn't happen.
So, but the bills, so you have, there's a $19,580 bill, just says open space.
What number are you on? I don't see 19,000.
It does tell you a check number though, so you'll be able to look all those up in the files.
So you're up there.
Where do you
She's
hear that?
drilled down on the 134,977.
Oh,
So
okay.
inside the 134,977 is a $19,000 bill,
a $93,000 bill and a $22,000 bill.
Well, a lot of those just happened. Michelle, do you know what they are?
No, I don't.
1523, all it says is open space and the check number.
That just, but there was one just created on January 18th. So do you remember cutting a check for $22,000 on the 18th?
Can we look at an image of the check?
It's not, it's not here. It's not in here. We could, is this, do you have a?
But there's a check number, it's right there,
Right.
6257. If,
Can you look that up quick?
what's that?
Could you look that up quick?
Well, you would have the check still.
So
I wouldn't even
curious.
have that yet, because that hasn't come across my desk.
And
I didn't think. Do we approve that at the last board meeting?
I don't think so.
Go
No,
grab
because
that
it was
check.
on,
Oh, I don't know. Was that for the other part of the Monier property?
I haven't
Well,
seen
that
anything.
doesn't, I don't think that's
wait a
been
minute,
spent yet.
22,000, wait,
Yeah.
when was our
That's
board meeting? January what?
17.
Yeah.
Oh, so it was the day after. So,
Can we just go grab that check stub and just tell us what it is?
yeah.
And what's the, yeah, and the $93,000? Do we,
6257.
93,000, I don't,
So here, write down, Michelle, write down
okay,
the check number.
6240 for the 93,000? And then 6257 for the 22,000.
Yeah, I give you back the check stub, so I don't have them, you would have them.
what was that?
The check number is 6257.
So, and
And that's the 22,000.
I feel like I should have caught that. That's a good
Sorry, 118 for the 22
Yep.
and 1220 for
105 for the,
105.
Oh, January 5th,
yeah,
for 93,000.
for 93,000.
Yeah, when you enter the description, I think you
And then
should
if you
say
have the
like who the
19,000
vendor
one, it
is.
should all be in the same file, right?
I think I left it in my
I
car.
mean, do you have just one file? And I think the 19,000, what was that for? I can't even remember.
There was an assessment. There was
Oh, maybe.
an assessment, but it wasn't that much. And then there's the amount that we are paying for Lanier, which is about 30,000. right?
Well, and
We
this is
haven't
that
paid that
same,
yet.
No, we haven't
so
paid it, but we
remember,
approved it.
I mean, Michelle's not here, but when she pays, when she cuts a check, she needs to check with the person who understands the expense and make sure that it's the.
But the bill should come to me first. I
Right.
should have,
I
I
mean,
mean,
This is where we need to sit in an office.
Okay,
and
yeah.
People need to drill down.
okay. I think we should, I recommend that we finish up, let's find out what these checks are about, and
in
then
the stack. I thought
and
this
then-
was them.
go back to the drill down. Thank you.
$93,000 just doesn't ring a bell to me.
It doesn't ring a bell to me
It
at
just
all.
rings a bell to me for fire or something.
Yeah, like
it
that's
says
what I'm
open
thinking.
space.
$90,000 fire bill that we
Yeah,
approved.
or roads or
It
something
says open
recently. There was
space,
something-
93,000 is under open
Yeah.
space.
So on the agenda for the 17th, we had fire, police, substation, multi-lakes, and agency fund payments.
We always do.
And then, but I don't have the actual numbers.
Yeah, I don't have the bill, I don't have the bill.
I don't, she has, when I do the invoice stuff, I give her the check stub, so she has all the check stubs.
Yeah, I'll
The chocolate?
I mean,
Other expenses.
for me to do that, I have to go in the computer, go into Pinnacle and all these other things to look at
This
check
is-
numbers.
This
Which
is
is gonna
something
be
we
easy for
could
her.
sit and drill down, you and I could blow through.
I mean, and I was on the 19,000 and the 22,000.
You and I could sit and.
Okay,
drill
guys,
down
I
and
think
just
we shouldn't
create a
have
list.
side huddles. We're still in
Yeah.
an open meeting, so it's confusing, sorry.
No, I don't think so.
Karen?
But should I be?
Nolte, thank you. Maris, Matt, thank you.
Sorry, Supervisor.
I know it's hard not to have side huddles. We could call a break. Let's call a 5-minute break.
That sounds great.
Okay, we'll be back at 7:55.
We're not making any changes.
Okay.
Just in time,
Chocolate.
Turning these off?
just in
You
time
could
to
turn it
adjourn.
off, yeah.
Are these still on?
Yeah, just push it till the light goes.
GL number, dollar value.
Push, yes, you can enter. Just push the, oh, okay.
So we can just make up a list and not do the changes. Because you can't go in there, but we can definitely, we've identified a
There's a
gazillion.
nice like that.
It's just going in, we can't go in and keep making onesie twosies changes because it mucks up the system.
I've I feel like honestly, I feel useless at these meetings, and I'm not doing it again.
Come on, Alicia.
I just can't, I have so much that's going on. I'll come when it's fixed. And say yes. Vote yes. Yeah. Okay. I just am not, I don't understand it. Not only do I'm struggling to understand it corrected, yet all of the errors make it completely confusing.
It is confusing.
Well, this makes me really worried that that's in open space.
It's no different than when we had negative 10,000 in sewer, it's just got to be reclassified. The little piece of paper is in the wrong kind of flex in the filing cabinet, that's all it is.
How does that happen?
Did you turn off your? Did you turn off your?
It's the same problem we've been
You
having.
can, we turn off your thing if we're having a conversation.
Minus.
It's the same problem we've been having for 6 or 8 years.
Where I'm sitting.
No.
Sorry, I'm so sorry.
It's the problem we've been having.
Okay, so we're going to resolve that, Michelle's going to come back with the check stubs, and then,
That should be the last thing we do.
And that's the
Yeah.
last thing we're doing.
Okay,
Yeah, 'cause
because I have to go. I've got to teach a class tomorrow, and I'm useless here.
I'm getting short on patience, which is not good.
I still have to pack.
Where are you
Don't
going?
go there.
Early flight in the morning.
Where are
Oh my
you going?
God.
I said, yeah, I thought you said I talked to Pat.
Lonnie, where are you going?
New York.
Are you seeing any Broadway shows?
I'm gonna see at least one.
Damn, which one are you going to see?
I don't know. I
Oh,
won't-
6 is very good.
Is it?
It's very good. It's a modern. It's
one that I looked
different.
at. I was thinking Hadestown,
Oh, I haven't seen
which
it.
I heard is
Yeah, I heard
great.
it's good.
Yeah, I saw Harry Potter last night.
Oh, how fun.
Last time I was there, I saw Strange Loop, which is a very, very strange book.
I don't see one. I didn't go back there, but I didn't see anything
We
for
saw
I wrote an op-ed article an op-ed letter for the Sun Times, so watch for it. I don't
Did they
know.
take up, when they printed mine, they removed my title. They let Jim Drollet say former trustee, but they removed my trustee title because,
1 minute to bring this meeting back to order.
so I don't have any.
Mine wasn't,
If
it's
I-
not on
Michelle, if you-
township business, but they
If
asked
she
me to
can't find
put
it, we're just gonna,
they asked me to put my professional credential, which I thought was interesting, because it's about race. My kids' experience.
You know, tomorrow is a
Mary's
Wednesday,
experience.
you do a matinee and a night show.
But I don't know when it'll be
That's
printed.
what I
in
do.
business.
I go in on Tuesdays and I do.
That's weird that they took your,
Oh, it's just, they have no journalistic integrity. I'm disgusted with that.
4 days, I saw 5 shows. It's that's what.
My meetings on Thursday are all day. So I present in the morning, I do it for questions.
There is nothing in open space for those two figures, so I don't know.
But what
I
were
was
the-
gonna
who
say
were the
no.
checks written to?
I don't.
Who were the
Yeah.
checks written to?
When I'm here tomorrow morning, the way the filing's going is Abby's filing everything.
The meeting is back in order, please, coming back into order.
Thank you.
Okay, please turn your microphones on if you turn them off during the break. Thank you. Okay, so Michelle, can you update us on what you?
I will know more tomorrow. There's nothing in open space for those $2 amounts. I thought possibly it would be the roads, the last roads total, but it was not, and the roads is put into its appropriate bucket. So I will find out tomorrow. And the way all the filing is now, absolutely, and the way the filing is now, it's definitely needs to be redone. And Abby was going to start that as well. Because the way the filing is, it is so frustrating and confusing to find, but that's a whole nother.
Okay. All right. Any other, let's see, any other public, we're going to move on now. Call for public comment? Other issues, comments, concerns in the board members? Okay. I think we'll just, we
Well, what's
have a
the
million
plan?
future.
What-
ideas.
What's the plan? I mean, did we, how are
We're
we
gonna
going to
form-
proceed with the budget? Do we have a plan for that?
I am available.
Is our plan
So-
A, Monday meeting with Kim, get her outline and her cost, everything? Diane or somebody's going to follow up with Heather.
I'll follow up with Heather.
We'll drill down on anything over 75% on the 12/31 budget.
Who will? Who wants to do that?
I mean, I can help, but, you know,
Okay,
if
and I can-
if we want to work at an hour, 2 hours at a time.
I can help
we do
Karen,
that.
too.
Let's just
It's
drill
not going
down.
to
I
take
can
you
do it.
very long.
It's not going to take very long, I really don't
No,
think.
I don't think it'll take long.
Michelle and I will finish the election numbers tomorrow, but not to make changes, just to, I'll create a log sheet and we'll just log everything. And then it should be Heather or Kim that go in at one mass time, change our general ledger and see where we come out. My question is, are we going to have another workshop before our board meeting?
I think we just come to
Right,
our
We
board
just go to
meeting.
work? Okay.
Okay. And Michelle, you'll send an email tomorrow with everybody, to everybody, updating them on what these checks are? This section is, right?
Yeah, don't,
There, it's right there, if that's, you need to write that down, okay?
and I don't have my pen, so, can I use your pen?
Oh, yeah, sorry.
And can I get the GL?
Fund 245, open space.
Is it the 294801?
It's Fund 245.
That's the first one, open space land initiative.
So it's this? Okay.
So it's right after the general fund.
Yeah.
So hold, is it a 245000?
It just says Fund 245.
And then zero, yeah.
Oh, and then it has 0004.
And that's where this 134 is, this is where the 22, the 93.
Oh my gosh, so is that the, what is it? That is, that's just making the journal entry when the money was moved to Michigan class to invest? My two journal entries?
What do you mean?
That I did work with Heather.
That shouldn't be in the that
Okay.
shouldn't appear like that in the general ledger, because that's not changing anything. That's just about which account the funds are residing,
Why would it
which
have
bank
check
account.
number?
Yeah, they shouldn't have check numbers.
The general ledger doesn't
Because
reflect
the
the bank
93,000
account.
and some odd change, and the
Does that have
22,000 and some
anything-
odd
wait a
change,
minute.
that is the monies that has came in from taxes?
That could be money that has come in for taxes.
Here.
But it's a negative.
It says we spent it.
Yeah. It's not revenue.
Is it because it's being invested? I don't know.
No.
Okay.
Oh, click on it again. So now we do have distributions that we're making towards.
Millage money?
It's millage money. That's why I don't have a check proof from it, and why Michelle wouldn't have one. That is the distribution money that is going, that is coming.
Well, then
Correct.
it got
Expenditures.
wrongly attributed because it's
Revenue.
Okay, so
none of this doesn't.
when it gets distributed, then it's returned back to open space. So it's basically, it comes in, wait a minute, let me think about this. Let me think
Okay,
through
so when
it.
I open on distribution, it's the little click on the right, it's, the other one opens up.
Well, I
It
would
says
say that the 400
PY
accounts.
property tax adjustment collection, PN 111, 93,000.
Yep, so that went into the depository account.
So the 401.001 means it's a revenue account.
Yeah, for open space millage.
Oh, the open space millage.
So it's not an
Or tax
expense, it's
collections.
a revenue.
Right. Well, I mean, yeah, it's millage money that we're collecting for the open space millage, yeah.
Why is it, okay, that's so confusing to me about how
It's very
it's
confusing
listed
how it looks
like
here.
this.
You can only tell because this number starts with a 4, and that makes it.
The 401s
Credits
are
and then
revenue.
balances are negative. I don't get, okay.
That's weird.
It's a
accounting.
negative expense, which is credit. I mean, I don't know if it's a
Yeah.
credit, but a negative expense
And
is
is
money
it-
that's available to you.
Yeah.
Well, it says
Negative
budget
expenses.
used 100%, so what does
Well,
that mean?
that's just because it was zero budget, and so if it's zero budget and something happens in the actual
We
column.
didn't budget any
it Makes it
millage money.
100%. We didn't budget for the millage because we didn't know it was going to be approved.
So this is correct, then?
I
It
mean,
means
I don't know that it's correct, I
$94,000 is
just,
coming into open space.
Right.
no,
She's cor-
135,000.
Yeah,
Oh,
Yes.
This is
135,000.
134,977.
And
That's
actually, that money was then, it's been collected and also moved to its own sub-account in Michigan class now.
Yeah, but that doesn't matter, because, I mean, it's great, because it's going to, we're going to maximize the revenue from it, but it doesn't matter in terms of the general ledger.
What it means, Laura, is 135,000 has been collected from the millage already.
I understand that's being, I understand that sense.
It's
This-
just
this-
very
This makes
confusing
it
in its
look like, to
presentation.
me, like it was spent.
Yes.
And so I don't understand.
We agree.
Again, I don't understand the process, the numbers, anything. And I feel pretty frustrated and like I'm kind of not, I don't feel useful.
Well, and we could never look at this and know that that was, I mean, and then there's no expenses here either, so where's Barry getting billed to? Where did the
Right,
Monier
where's
property?
Barry is
go
getting
to?
billed to, because you're in a 245000, Barry is getting billed to contracted services, which is a 245-294-801-002.
Right, she zeroed in on the property tax
So
line.
Laura, here's our,
There you go.
this is our area, open space area, where
General government.
flyers, initiatives, Barry, our consultant.
But that's not right. Barry gets paid out of open space, not out of general.
It is out of
It
open
is on
space.
open space.
So there's, open space is a 245, so here's your 245. And then you're gonna go to departments, so then there's also.
This is frustrating. This is, general government is a budget.
That's a label that
There's
needs to be
Barry.
changed,
Yes, thank you.
added to the.
That is
sheet.
why I was never putting anything properly in that location. But there's been corrections, absolutely.
Well, there's something we need to change. Michelle Stability for elections, that should go to elections.
And
Well, wait
that
a second, let's.
should be.
I don't, so what,
Okay, we're drilling down now and we're finding more questions. So I think that we are at our 8:05 time. We have an idea, now we know that we're not, that this is correct, even though it's hard to understand.
My apologies, you
So-
guys, because actually, I mean, when we saw those two numbers, those seem astronomical, but that actually was, that's why Michelle couldn't find them, because those were distributions from tax. That's brand new to us, this millage, so, I mean, that's the first time I'm seeing
Well,
that
I'm glad
account.
we got it. We
So,
well, and I just want to make make a broad statement of principle, which is, we should never use the general fund for anything that we can use a special fund to support. So we should not be using any general fund dollars for any open space activities now that we have the millage. So all of those open space activities that got billed to the general fund need to move into the open space fund.
what,
Yeah,
Well, that open space fund is not showing any expenses.
it'd show Barry, it'd be Barry, it'd be your printing. it would be
Monier,
your event
that, yeah.
that they had in September, all that stuff should get moved over to open space.
and I thought it was.
But that isn't open space, yeah.
It is open space.
Yeah, it's open space general, though.
Yeah, but you clicked on it and it wasn't.
But we didn't have a
But then it was
millage
mixed
before
up.
now. I mean, now we do.
Okay.
We
It
just
is
have to
there.
clean some of that up.
And most of it is cleaned up.
having Barry and election expenses, and Stan Tech, and Dale Lesser. Oh, that's the open space stuff, okay.
What the heck, oh, there's a state
That-
tech, yeah, oh, that,
It's been corrected out of it.
okay.
Oh, okay, yeah, okay. All right,
You can see that mine, Aaron, have been corrected out of it too.
What is this?
So
CEI Michigan repair ceiling?
that was corrected out of it. And
Oh,
that was on
okay.
the door. So the 2867, 2867, 1767, it has been corrected. When you get familiarized with how to read this, you can go through it really quickly and then add up once you scroll down and see. It's definitely taken trial and error.
Oh, I see. So there's open space, land initiative, a few.
There aren't many. I mean, our consultant is paid monthly.
So everything on this page is open space. So the bottom line is down here.
everything is. Okay, but that's the drill down. All right.
So
I think that was
this
good
whole
that we
page
got that
is the
question
open space
answered.
initiative.
Right.
And so you've got contractor services, you've got your per
So that whole
diems.
space there,
That whole page.
that
The
whole
whole
page,
page is
yes.
open
And
space.
so your
Open
total,
space.
your
But
total
it shouldn't say
revenues
general
have been
government, so that was very confusing in the
135,000.
beginning, and we weren't using it.
Your total
Yeah.
But wait a
expenses were
minute, that's a
$9,000.
completely different, why does it say Department 294?
Oh, yeah.
So here, we could have known this because this says revenues up at the top. So here's your revenues.
Yeah, what's 294?
Revenues with the
294 is
total
general
revenues,
government, isn't it?
and then expenditures,
Incorrect label.
and total expenditures, and then zeroed at the bottom.
It's one of those ones we need renamed.
So I mean, that's why it's confusing.
Oh, general government and general fund is 101. All right, guys, I think we've
Other than
done
that,
it.
if anything would like to know, if anyone would like to know what the annual landfill for the city of Chelsea.
What was that?
There are a few other individuals, so Lima Township pays a portion, Linden Township and Sullivan Township. And there is a memorandum for, it's a biannual landfill billing. We all share it, or the cost, as well as some of our local businesses pay for landfill monitoring work performed during the period of.
What landfill?
We used to have a landfill at the Chelsea Transfer Station. I don't know if they have to continue to monitor it for the health of that landfill. I don't know. It's a transfer station now. But we are in a contribution agreement,
Until when?
and it doesn't say. But we are we pay 10.5%. Where Lima pays 6%, Linden 6.75%, and Sylvan 6.75%, and we pay the highest.
So it must be in the files somewhere.
Yeah.
The agreement has to be in.
I just thought I'd let you all know.
Or can you ask the WWRA, Diane, when you're at the meeting for the landfill, why is Dexter paying 4% more than any other?
And what are we paying for anyway? What is,
Yeah,
why
that's what
why
I
do we
wanted to
have an
know, why?
obligation to pay for that?
Yeah,
Can you make a copy of that for me, Michelle? Yes, and I'll check up on it.
yeah. Never heard
Okay,
of that
guys,
one.
someone like to make a motion to adjourn?
I'll move to adjourn.
I'll second.
Twice a year, annually.
All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed?
Nay.
Debbie, you oppose, or you don't oppose?